Basic patterns. Basic outlines and patterns. Patterns can be basic, simplistic, or decorative and distinctive. There's a huge variation of designs and styles, with some requiring more skill than others. Patterns can show phenomenal artistic and barbering skill. The factors that may affect the pattern service. Hair growth pattern. You must work with the hair growth patterns and include them as a feature in the design. Lifestyle. A pattern may not be suitable for some lifestyles. For example, school children and some job roles. School children always check that they are allowed to have the pattern. I always try and talk children into maybe having the patterns when they break up for school at the summer holidays. Face shape. Face shapes must always be taken into account and may affect the design choice. Scarring. Check for scarring, as you may be able to incorporate that into your design. Hair classifications. Thicker, coarser and darker hair is best to make the pattern more visible. Hair length. The best base length for a pattern is around 6mm. That's a grade 2. To help fully see the pattern, you may need to reduce the hair length prior to creating your pattern. Haircut. You will need to consider how the pattern area will fit in with the rest of the haircut. There are 4 fundamental points to consider when creating patterns. Shape. What shape will your design be? 2D, 3D, straight lines, curved lines, repeated lines? Symmetrical, pictorial? Scale. Does the shape need to be enlarged or reduced to fit into the space you have? Proportion. If you're scaling the shape up or down, it's vital that it's scaled up or down evenly. Also, the pattern must be proportional to the head. You must ensure the pattern isn't too big or small. And position. Where on the head will the pattern be positioned? Consultation considerations will need to be taken into account for this. For example, hair length, scarring, etc., as this may affect the position of the pattern. So planning is a vital stage of creating the hair patterns. You can look for designs online, social media and industry magazines. It's a good idea to firstly draw the design to confirm you and your client are happy. Again, take into account the factors that may affect the service, for example, scarring, growth patterns and haircut, etc. So creating. Once you have finished planning your design and both you and your client are happy, you can begin to create the pattern. Firstly, create your base hair length and blend this into the haircut if necessary. Use the corner of the trimmers like a pencil to draw the design. You can use the length of the blade as a measurement. Continuously check for balance and evenness by stepping back and using your mirror. Use a bristle brush or a fade brush to remove loose hair clippings and help other hairs stand on end to get the perfect result. When finishing off a pattern, it's always good to use a razor to give definition to your pattern and create much cleaner lines. Sometimes using a wax or pomade to remove fluffiness and help give definition and shine to the pattern. Make sure you take pictures of your finished designs so you can use these to create a portfolio and put on social media to show clients different ideas. So what considerations? The cost of the pattern will depend on how much time it takes to complete. Small and basic patterns may take less time than bigger or more intricate designs. What it means like that is, if you're going to do a pattern that's going to take an hour, I'd agree first with the client that normally I'll do 2 haircuts in an hour, so this pattern will cost you 2 haircuts. That's always a good way to value your patterns. But if it is a simple line that's going to take you 2 minutes, is maybe just ask for a couple of pounds extra. Lifestyle. Does the client lifestyle suit patterns? Workplace. Have they got to go to meetings? I remember once I went on a business meeting and I had patterns in my hair where one of my students done it, and I remember everyone looking at me in shock horror, and I had to then explain that this was done for an assessment by a student, which then they all smiled and laughed. But this is a serious point, that before someone does have a pattern, like with schools, will their lifestyle be okay with this? Will their job, will their school, will their education? Upkeep. Can the client afford the upkeep? Does the client have time for the upkeep? This means a pattern will grow out within a week. So if that's what they want and they want to keep the pattern, can they afford to come in every week, every other week for their pattern? Or is it a one-off thing? Is it for a festival? Is it for a party? Is it just because it's the summer holidays and their mum says they can let their hair down? That's fine, but always put that into a consideration before starting the pattern. So the tools and equipment you need: clippers used to create the base length of your design, trimmers used to create the design in the hair. Use the corner like a pencil with a freehand technique. Detailers, T-liners, similar to trimmers, but the blades are finer, so it'll take the hair shorter and make it look much sharper. And a razor used to define the pattern. Bristle brush, fade brush, used to remove loose hairs and make other hairs stand on end, so you can get a nice, clear result. And a pen, used to initially draw your plan to help you, and sometimes colouring pens to make your pattern a lot more decorative.